I'm no doomsday prepper, but I think most families could and probably should grow a little bit of your own food. Here's the deal, folks. Things could, maybe will, maybe never will get a little bit weird. But if things got weird for a few weeks, if there was an energy issue or a food supply issue or just everybody else went nuts and you wanted to be a little bit more prepared, maybe you would be glad that you had grown a few things. And if you've got a big backyard like this one, why not? All right, there's a lot of things that we could talk about when it comes to having some food around. There's a lot of things we could talk about when it comes to what's easy and what's hard, and we'll get into it. But I just wanted to point you towards a handful of things that almost anybody could do in the DFW area if you've got space in your backyard. Most of this could be done anywhere, but just as a quick rapid fire snapshot, I'm not talking about building some panic bunker and having 100 years of freeze-dried food. If you want to do that, go for it. You can do it. It's a free country. But what I think a lot more people could and probably should do is make use of whatever space you've got, and if you've got a lot, you could do more. So, what could we do? Let's get into it. All right, if you're in the DFW area or any climate like this will all work pretty easily. And if you're not in this climate, most of this will probably work easily. But figs, there's a type of fig that grows just about anywhere, especially in the North Texas area. And you might not be able to see it. And before I pointed, you might not have even known that was a fig. But I'm just ballparking. There's probably over 500 figs on this tree already right now. And most people would walk by and not know that, not see that that's all there. So whether you're trying to hide it or you're just trying to have some food out there that if things got weird, you'd feel a little bit better. Or if things got really, really bad, you could eat it. Or just so you sleep a little bit better at night knowing that no matter what happens, you've got a little bit of protection, you got a little bit of defense, or you know what, just do it because you would enjoy it. But figs are a really, really great option. Blackberries around here are a unstoppable, easy option. You could do muscadines. Grapes are a little bit harder, but muscadines do really well. Tomatoes are great. I'd say cherry tomatoes in our area are great. I've got a couple right down here. Sweet 100s, sweet 1000s, there's all different kinds of cherry tomatoes that are easy in our area that actually do produce a lot multiple times per year. You could do a couple of other things. You could do peppers really easily. Herbs are super simple. Basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, cilantro, all those kind of things that could make potentially in a weird scenario eating some of the same stuff a heck of a lot easier. I'll show you a few other things that you could easily do in this area and then we'll move on to some bigger topics. All right, folks, this is like level one, cannot mess this up. This is almost impossible to fail. Basil from seed or from one store plant, let it go to seed at the end of the season. Let that fall, and I didn't plant any of this year. Every bit of this came up from last year. So this is very hard to fail. The more you pick it, the more you cut it, the more it's gonna come back. So basil, no issue whatsoever. You gotta do that. That's gonna give you a little bit of security. Rosemary, plant that from a plant. I wouldn't try that from seed. It's gonna go really well. It's gonna get woody if you let it, but this can get massive and supply way more than you could ever need. Oregano over here, it's gonna grow and expand like crazy. Same thing, if you let that go to seed at the end of the summer, you're gonna be able to use that seed, spread it around, grow it other places, or it's gonna pop back up the next year. Thyme, you can see I'm letting this go to seed right now. So there's seeds here from the early kind of spring rush. I'll cut all that back, let it grow really well this summer, and we'll let it go to seed again after the fall. I've got some lemon thyme right here. All these are easy. Almost any of your herbs that are appropriate for this area will do really, really well. Cilantro does well. Lavender and some other things do really, really well here. These are the ones we do, and they're easy, easy, easy. Every year they come back. I've got some cherry tomatoes right here. I'll show you some larger tomato bushes in a minute, but all these yellow flowers will be tomatoes. This is from just taking a little bitty cutting from one of our other tomato plants. So once you get one tomato plant going, if it goes well for you and you like the fruit, you like the tomatoes from that, yes, they're fruit, then you can take the suckers off or a cutting off and plant that, and all of a sudden, if you wanted, you could have 100 tomato plants after that. If you let those go to seed or drop some fruit at the end of the season, you're very likely to have more of those volunteer and come up again the next year. So very, very cheap. Lots and lots and lots of calorie production. They're not super high calorie, but you can get real food out of them. Sauces, salsas, ketchups, barbecue sauce, all that from cherry tomatoes, and they do really well in our area, and you can almost not mess it up. One last one real quick, I'll show you while we're right here. Blackberries. You can see these berries coming on here, and we've got those all over the property. So blackberries are, again, once you get them established, very difficult to fail. And if you'll let them tip over and root again in the ground, you can cut those, transplant them, and again, they'll multiply. They're very easy. This will feed your family in a pinch or as a bonus. All right, folks, one last thing on that can't fail tier. Basically any type of onion except for your gigantic like yellow onions. And those aren't even that hard, but can't fail Egyptian walking onions. These will grow. You can see they tip over and then they'll reroot and they'll kind of walk. And so you'll have new plants each time. This is a wild onion that's actually pretty popular in the North Texas area. We have them here. You pull these up, it's like a green onion on top, like chives, and you have a very small white onion bulb. But once you plant them, they seed out on top, they blow in the wind, they multiply like crazy. So two kinds of easy onions. This is a society garlic. You're not gonna grow a big head of really rich garlic. You can do that here. It's not quite as easy as these, but it's not that hard either. But we have the society garlic, and it is basically a subtle garlic flavor. You could just use more of it. And then because I happen to be sitting here, the next thing, the big one, I'll just say is fruit of almost any kind, like significant fruit. These are apples that have fallen. They'll get bigger when they're ripe, but get some long-term producing fruit. Let me go show you some more calorie dense stuff that we talked about earlier and just point out why you might want a little bit of that as well. All right, folks, when it comes to real calories, obviously you can enjoy blackberries and cherry tomatoes and herbs, but you're probably not gonna survive off of that, even if it's for a week or two. So we need something with some real calories that can go a little bit farther. So every one of these little bitty plants came up from a bean, and you can kind of see what those beans may have looked like. But basically, these are black beans. These are gonna grow like a vining bean pod deal that you can chuck those pods, you can pull all the beans out, and it's just like the beans you bought at the store. And almost all the beans you bought at the store, you could plant, and they'll do this. Unless for some reason they're extra special and they've been treated or washed in acid or something like that, which most haven't, you'll be able to plant these. If not, you can buy seedling beans super, super cheap. So I'll thin these out, but these will grow big vines. They'll look like ground cover, and they'll produce a bunch of beans. Now I'm gonna walk over here and show you some peas, black-eyed peas or cow peas, that will do very similar to what has been done there. These will grow and come back year after year after year after year. So same concept here. I wanna show you some sweet potatoes, and I don't have much to show you on sweet potatoes. A, because they grow under the ground, and B, because these are very, very early stage. But I'll just show you because I want to show you how easy it is. So this time of year, it's very early. These have just been planted in the last week or two. So they're just getting established below the ground, and we're just seeing enough signs of life that we know they're working. So I've got about 6 of them. If you were really committed to like preparing for months and months and years to live off just this stuff, you would do way more. But if you're like me and you just like having an extra layer of security and provision, and if you don't need it, something to share with friends, sweet potatoes are a very high calorie, very easy thing to grow that does well in our area. They just need a little bit of attention to get them going, and you really truly could live off sweet potatoes and some herbs and spices, throw in some tomatoes. You could do well with that. You might get sick of it, but you wouldn't be dead. The last thing I'll say is fruit. We're standing in my fruit orchard. We've got peaches, pears, plums, apples, persimmon, pomegranate, jujube, pawpaw, and a bunch of other stuff. But the point is, these things take time to get going, but you could put them in now and later just know you got a little bit more extra food on site if the grocery store gets expensive, or if for some reason there's a supply chain issue or long-lasting power outage, or whatever it is that you might want to be a little bit more prepared for, or you just might want to be a little bit more self-sustaining. So that's a quick snapshot list of things that you could definitely do to be a little bit more prepared, whether you're worried or whether you're excited or you just want to have another layer. All right, folks, so realistically, you may not be scared, you may not be fearful, you may be super optimistic or anywhere in between. Let me just say this. I think a lot of people have lost track with where our food comes from, and they don't realize that in any yard, but especially a big backyard, if you've got half an acre or more, you've got space to grow some food. Sure, if you needed it, that would be great. You would have had forethought and protected and provided for yourself and your family, maybe even some friends. But even if you're not worried about that at all, how great would it be just to return to knowing how food is produced and where it comes from and that you can do it right outside your backyard, and that you can look out the window and see your kids picking berries, having some fruit, having some tomatoes, maybe putting together a little snack or a meal or bringing it inside to be processed or cooked. Maybe you're making salsa or spaghetti sauce. Maybe you're making French fries or baked potatoes or whatever that may look like on your property. I think you ought to give it a try. So my challenge for you is this: whether or not your backyard is shaped like mine or has the trees in the same spot, or you want to worry about mulch and soil and all the things that I get into, none of that really matters. But I'm going to challenge you to plant at least one thing in the next week that you could eat. I've already told you in this area what most of those easiest things are. Cherry tomatoes is about as easy as it comes. Sweet potatoes will get you some real calories. Herbs and spices, blackberries and all that are easy. This is what we do for a living, is we help people buy and sell properties where they can explore sort of their philosophy of life. Do you want to grow some of your own food? Do you just want to see your kids eating some berries? Do you want to grow it because you're preparing for the end of the world? Whatever you're into, whatever you're fearful of or excited about, do that. We'd be happy to help you buy or sell that property when the time comes. My information is below the video or near the audio. Reach out to us. We'd be glad to help. But that's my challenge to you. Grow something that you or your friends or your family could eat. Start with the simplest stuff if you want. If you want to get really ambitious, let us know in the comments. We'll try to point you towards the right varieties of trees and bushes, or maybe even where to go purchase those things. Before we wrap up though, one more thing. I just want you to enjoy your backyard. I want you to enjoy the house, the yard, the home, and all of it. And if you've listened this far or watched this far, there's a really good chance that something in you wants to grow a little bit of food. So if that's part of your dream, make it happen. Just risk it, just gamble. Don't worry about if it doesn't work. Learn something, model that for your friends, family, neighbors, kids if you've got them. But just start here with something. If you're like me and you want to go big, comment about it, reach out. We'd be glad to point you towards that. If you're buying or selling, we can help you and be your agent. But even if you're not, we want to help you enjoy your property. So make sure that you're doing that. Put together some projects for this summer so that the fall is even more enjoyable. Or whenever you're catching this, think 60 or 90 days ahead and do something so that your life, your home, your backyard is just a little bit more awesome. And if we can help, let us know how. I'll see you on the next one.